Hey everybody, so today's going to be a video based on a comment I got a while back. I had a subscriber ask me to go through the entire car kind of front to back and explain exactly what's going on with everything. Now, I know that there's a lot of stuff on this car that I haven't shown because the car was probably about halfway done when I started recording it. So we're just going to start at the very front. First thing is the splitter there, and then we'll go all the way back to the wing. So before we get started, I want to apologize. The car is really dirty. I take it up in the hills a lot and I get a lot of bugs on it, and I just haven't had a chance to clean it yet. This car is actually pretty difficult to clean because there's pieces on it that leak, like the sunroof, and we'll go over some of the parts that leak on it when I actually try to wash it. But very front here, we're going to start with the splitter. This splitter is made out of aluminite. This was just built in the garage. Nothing really too difficult about it. The hardest part about building a splitter is just getting that first design. Once you get that down, you can just sit there and make copies of it as you ruin them. I've actually ruined this splitter once before. Not this specific one, but I had to rebuild it, and every time I rebuild it, it ends up getting bigger and bigger. So if you're looking at doing a splitter and you've got a race car, just send it to the biggest splitter you can do. The splitter rods were bought from Lowe's. Those are actually really cheap splitter rods. They're just zinc. I think they were just a couple bucks a piece. So I actually built this splitter for around $200. Next, we're going to go to the front bumper. I had a video on this front bumper a while back talking about some of the different front bumpers you can get for the car. If you go through eBay, just be super careful because a lot of them don't fit quite right. So right here was the area of question with that last bumper. It didn't fit right in here. And actually, as you can see here, it still doesn't fit quite right. Even with these M3 fenders, it doesn't fit quite perfect. The M3 front bumper was bought because I knew at one point I wanted to turbocharge or supercharge the car, and I was gonna need a mouth for this intercooler here. That's one of the reasons why I bought this front bumper. I didn't want to do a body kit front bumper. They were kind of weird. None of them really looked very good. And the ones that did look good looked most like the M3 front bumper. So I ended up just getting this. And then to wrap up the front bumper, I have yellow tint over the fog lights. Next on the front of the car is these canards, or canards, however you want to say it. I think canard sounds kind of funny, so I normally say canard, even though I think that's probably the wrong way to say them. But these are made by AJ Hartman, and they're actually really not that expensive. I think the set of these, all four of them, are only about $300 and something for the set, which is a really good price. A lot of these, even the generic ones or the universal ones, cost just as much, if not more, and they don't actually fit very well. These ones fit perfectly on this M3 replica front bumper. I didn't have to do any modification or anything like that. They went on just as if it were an M3 front bumper. One thing I did forget to mention is I do have a lip in between the splitter and the car that fills that gap. Before, the splitter kind of sat up like this, so I put that in there to tilt the splitter down so it was more level, or even kind of pointed down a little bit. And obviously I've got a tow strap here. This is just a fake one, just a red strap basically. It does bolt to the car, but if you actually pulled on this, it'd ruin it. This is just one for show. This is the actual tow hook of the car. I used this a little bit ago when my fuel pump failed on me to get back from another city, actually about 20 minutes away from my house. So that's still on there. I just haven't taken that off yet. So the grills, there's not really much to tell about those. Those are just really cheap eBay ones. They were like $30. I painted them gloss black. They came black, but they were just plastic black, and so they kind of were fading in the sun, so I painted those gloss black. Got my BMW racing stripes over there. I know the car's not an M3, but those are BMW's racing stripes, and I race my BMW, so if you don't like it, you can leave a hate comment in the comment section below. Moving on, we're going to talk about the headlights. Again, if you look real deep in there, you can actually see some more racing stripes in there. I just thought that was kind of cool. There's three little stripes that run on the inside of the E46 headlight, and so I just put those three stripes in there because it looked really cool. These headlights are blacked out using Plastidip, and then they're running iJDM toy halo rings on them. The side markers are a depot. We had a video on that as well. Next, we're going to talk about the hood. Now, this is actually a Duraflex hood. Most of the time, I would say don't buy Duraflex body parts. I've had no luck with any of them fitting ever. I had a buddy a while back putting some stuff on his Mitsubishi Lancer, and nothing fit. The bumpers, nothing fit at all. It looked terrible. This is the only hood that I've actually ever seen by Duraflex that has fit right. So if anybody has experience with Duraflex, again, leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell us what your experiences is with Duraflex. But so far, this is the only thing I'd safely say I would probably buy again. I only lost about 7 pounds with the hood. A carbon fiber hood, you would have lost closer to 12 or 15 pounds. So it really wasn't that much weight difference. I really just wanted the vents and that M3 bulge in the top there. Now, I do get a lot of questions in person about this gap right here at the bottom of the hood. That is neither the bumper nor the hood. That is actually due to these fenders. Now, these fenders came off of an M3 that was a convertible, and I'm thinking that the fenders were too tall because when I put the fenders on, the hood was too low, and I had to actually lift the hood up, which gives you that gap at the bottom. Now this hood's got a lot of adjustments underneath so you can get it to fit just how you want it to, but I had to lift it up to match the fenders, and that gave you a little bit of gap at the bottom. I guess worst case scenario, it looks dumb. Best case, it gives you a little bit more airflow. It don't really bug me that much. I've learned to just kind of look past it. But back to the fenders, these came off of a dark blue E46 M3 convertible that a buddy about 40 minutes south of me was parting out. So that's how I got these fenders. They came with the depot side markers, and I actually had to buy the side vents for them. It only came with one of them, so I bought a pair and then I painted them black. We'll go over those in just a little bit. You can see the fender here fits pretty well up against the windshield and the A-pillar, and like I previously stated, it just didn't quite fit right with the hood the way it was before. And here we have the N15 fender vents. I just got these put on a couple videos ago. They still look awesome, and those are designed to get turbulent air out of your wheel well. Most people can't notice, but if you look really closely here, it says 330 CI. The reason I did that is because it's not an M3. I'm not trying to fake an M3, to the point where this trim right here actually doesn't really match up to this one. They're different trims. I'm not worried about it. I'm not trying to fake an M3, so I put 330 CI on there. There's no M3 on this car at all. There's M badges. The car was an M Sport when I bought it. It was a 330 CI M Sport, and so there are a couple M badges here and there, like the ones that are on the wheels. So as for wheels, I'm running an Advant. These are more of like an M3 competition style, CSL style wheel. This is actually my favorite style of wheel. If I could pick any set of wheels for a BMW, these would be the ones. These are 18x9 in the front, and they are 18x10 in the rear. And then I'm running the Toyo Proxy R888R tires on them. As for the brakes that are on it, I am running an ECS tuning slotted rotor, and then I'm running Hawk 5.0 pads all the way around. So moving down the side of the car, I've got my side skirts here. These are actually ones that I had built. I don't know how much those actually help. I think they look kind of cool, but they're definitely having some compatibility issues with the skirts that are on it. I had to actually trim the original skirts, but you can see it's still popping that one out in the front, and it's also popping one out in the rear. I was actually told by somebody who knows aerodynamics pretty well. He came over to the house to give me some advice on some stuff. He said that these are helping, so I'm gonna leave those on there, and I might do something a little bit later. I want to definitely fix this skirt right here, so I don't know if I'm going to continue with this setup or find something completely new. So we're going to continue on with the exterior of the car and go to the inside last. We're just going to continue down the side of the car here. These fender flares here are actually just eBay ones. I bought them for like $200. They give you about the same width as an M3 fender in the rear, which is about all I need for these wheels and tires because these are essentially set up for like an M3. So just like the front, the rear caliper is also painted red and then has some more BMW racing stripes on it. Most of you guys know that adding red paint actually makes your car stop better. So if you're looking at doing some better brakes, just make sure to just paint your calipers red. So moving around to the back of the car, we've got an M3 replica rear bumper. This again actually these don't fit on the M3s. If you're looking at buying M3 parts, you actually have to buy M3 parts. This one is for a coupe that's faking an M3, and same with the front bumper. If you try to put this or the front bumper on an M3, they won't actually fit. But I got this rear bumper mostly to accommodate my quad exhaust. The quad exhaust doesn't really do anything for me, and I'm looking at doing a diffuser, so these will probably be gone here in a little bit anyways, but for right now, it looks cool. And then moving up, we have the OEM trunk. This actually came with the car. Some aftermarket taillights as well. It's just the M3 styled with the tinted on it. The rear spoiler was actually through Hard Motorsport. They build the mounts for it. And then the foil itself, the airfoil, is actually APR. So before we go into the interior of the car, I'm gonna go over these side windows. So these are actually Hard Motorsport as well. They're polyurethane, which means that they're not very susceptible to getting like scratched or anything like that. And then we lost about 10 pounds off the car with this. The sunroof delete plate is also Hard Motorsport. I have this just painted. It doesn't look super great, but I'm eventually either going to rewrap the roof or replace the entire roof with carbon fiber. This modification right here lost the car about 38 pounds off the top of the car. So moving on to the interior of the car, you can see these bright red seats. These are actual Brid seats. They were ordered from Japan. It took me about 6 weeks to get these. They are being accompanied by a set of fake eBay Tanaka knockoff seat harnesses. So don't judge me on these. I know they're probably unsafe. If I got into a wreck, I would probably die. But I just needed something to hold me into the car for right now. I am looking at doing some different harnesses. I just haven't decided which ones to get. This shifter right here is a CAE Ultra shifter. This was also ordered through Hard Motorsport. And then just past that, you can see the toggle switch panel. This toggle switch panel itself was made by AJ Hartman. Again, those are the same people that did the canards on the front of the car. We had some of this toggle switch panel build recorded, but it was back when we first started doing video and we didn't have enough content to make a full video on it. But it's set up very similar to RJ's. You got accessory on ignition, and then you've got your e-stop light, the demon eyes that are on the front of the car. You've got your boost gauge and the electric fan. So from the driver's seat, you can see this. This is an NRG steering wheel with Alcantara on it, matched with an NRG quick release and an NRG hub. This so far has been really good. This isn't the strongest steering wheel, but I haven't had any issues with it. It is breaking down a little bit here, but that really is just the material. It doesn't really matter what brand you buy. Eventually, it's going to start to look like that after a while. Right behind that, you can see the boost gauge. This is just a $20 eBay boost gauge. It isn't anything fancy. In fact, it's actually off a little bit, so I'm probably going to be buying another one. So note to self, don't buy really cheap boost gauges from eBay. Just go and buy the nice ones that you're supposed to buy. That is being held on by this ATI replacement column piece. It's actually designed to hold gauges. I got my boost gauge here, and then I don't have anything on this other side, but I could, if I wanted to, add another one. So moving on to the instrument cluster, you can see here that they're white, and I actually did a video on this a little bit ago as well. Installing those white dash cards, those were pretty fun to do, and then the needles on those are red. Just use a Sharpie marker to make those red. The interior trim on here is wrapped with some stickers on it. Those are all the original trim pieces on the inside. The door cards are hard motorsport door card again. The red strap on the top opens, and the red strap on the bottom is what you pull to close it. I did end up installing a wink mirror. What this does is it helps me eliminate my blind spots. I know this is kind of a ricer mod sometimes, but for me it helps me out a lot because it's very difficult to turn around and check your blind spots when you're driving around in this car because visibility is limited and the seats kind of hold you in. So this was bought to make it so I could see everything behind me, and then it will help on the track being able to see basically 180 degrees behind you. So by now, most of you are pretty familiar with the engine that I'm running in this car, but for the people that are new to the channel, basically what I'm running right now is an M54 B30, which is a 3-liter straight 6. It's the MS3 computer, and it is running an active AutoWorks Stage 2 supercharger kit. The engine produces 400 horsepower and 401 pound-feet of torque on 13 PSI. I'm running a Stewart water pump, which is a high-flow water pump, and I'm also running a Mishimoto radiator to keep the car cool. There is no AC in the car, so the heater core is gone, and the AC radiator has also been removed. Where the heater core was is a Hard Motorsport filler plate. Just make sure that there's a consistent firewall across there to keep anything coming through the engine bay and into the cab of the car. So as for suspension, I won't be able to really show you guys because obviously it's underneath the car, but I'm running Case Sport Control Pros. These are 36-way adjustable suspension. They are full front and rear coils. These have been awesome for the car. I've only had to adjust and dial them in once or twice, and they've been pretty carefree. They also have some camber adjustments on them as well. For strut towers, I'm only running this no-name one in the front. I'm actually not running a strut tower bar in the rear. And this one's really cheap. If you see one of these or one that looks like this, don't buy it. Like right here in the middle, it gets bound up because this is like, I think it's aluminum, so the metal is kind of soft, and it gets bound up, so you can't actually adjust this bar. So the last thing that's in the engine bay are these eBay headers. These were a massive pain to install, but so far they've been worth it. I'm not sure how much power they actually add, 5 to 20 horsepower. I can't actually verify that because I didn't dyno the car before and after, but those are there. They're catless headers, so make sure that your state allows you to run something like this, because here in Idaho they don't do any emissions testing, so I'm actually able to run these on the street. So that about wraps it up. There's a lot of things I couldn't go over. This video would literally be like 25 or 30 minutes. There's a lot of suspension components and a ton of stuff under the car that nobody really got to see. I did anti-roll bars that obviously we can't show here on camera because they're under the car. But I have a video for those as well. If you have any questions about any of these components, where I got them from, leave them in the comments below. I will try my best to respond to everybody in a timely fashion. One more thing before we leave, I didn't go over my demon eyes I've got here in the front. They just are for fun. They were like $30 from Walmart. If you do those, make sure you get the ones that are the brighter. They've got 2 of them, so these are like 30 bucks. Appreciate everybody for watching all the way to the end. Again, if you have any questions about the car, make sure to definitely ask. If you liked the video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.